So the City of Edinburgh Council is creating a flexible framework agreement. The purpose of this is to support sports and physical activities across schools, active schools, and lifelong learning services within the council. There'll be a wide range of children and young people accessing the framework through the schools, active schools, and lifelong learning. And this framework will support them to maintain their health and well-being, as well as building their confidence and social networks. Next slide, please, Anna. So children and young people will be able to access a range of sports and physical activities. We've really got a vast collection of different activities that they'll be able to do, and provision for learners across all sectors in the city will be provided. The main principles underpinning the framework are inclusive practice, well-being, and positive destinations. Over to you, Anna.
So I suppose what we want to start here is why a framework? So a framework allows the schools and active schools to buy sports and physical activities in compliance with the contract standing orders, that's the Edinburgh contract standing orders, and also legislation. The framework will access the base of your organisation, assess it, and it means that schools and active schools can be confident in the background information. However, schools and active schools will be able to work with the framework providers to create bespoke sports and physical activities that meet the needs of the young people. So this framework is the standard, it's the start of being able to get a contract with the City of Edinburgh Council. It's not the full, it's not the full service that you're going to be delivering. So the structure of the framework for this one, it's a flexible framework. We've split it into 2 lots. Julie will be able to go through this and it'll all become clear when you're going through the system. So we've got day services and we've got residential services. It's within the same structure. So if you're applying for one or both, then you would be doing the same. You just make sure your application has enough information for both, covering both areas. The specification, again, is standard across both lots. We've got terms and conditions. Now, these are the terms and conditions of the agreement with ourselves, but it's also going to be the terms and conditions for any future contracts that you have with the council. We've got a pricing schedule, which is again fixed for 2 years. And so in there, we're allowing you to put in your prices for the main service that you deliver, but also have additional services in there. So you'll be able to see that when Julie goes through it. And for residential, we're looking for your like middle stay. So again, you'll be able to see that when you have a look at it. We are opening the framework every 2 years. So if you decide you don't want to come onto the framework now, or if you are unsuccessful on the framework, it will open again in 2 years' time. But it will mean that the council won't be able to purchase anything from yourselves unless you're on the framework. So being on the framework, I just wanted to say it does not guarantee any business. And what it is just a starting of the discussions between yourselves and the schools to be able to create a service that is bespoke for the children of City of Edinburgh. So that's all we've got from ourselves. And I'll pass over to Julie. I just wanted to put a face to a name. If you ask questions, it will be myself and Marion answering the questions through Public Contract Scotland, or PCST, in fact.
Perfect, Hannah. Thank you for that. So now we're going to go to Julie, our SDP expert. Julie's now got the sharing option. And we'll be diving straight into PCS. Julie? A bit of delay in your sound, Julie, if you're still on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, so here we are in PCS. So this might be familiar to you. We just clicked on search notices at the top here. I'm obviously not sure if you're brand new to all of this. If you are brand new, you don't actually have to register on PCS in this case because it's being run through its sister website. So there are two different websites, just to confuse everybody. They are called PCS and PCST. It would have been good if they called the second one something completely different, so we didn't get so confused about it. But this is Public Contract Scotland. This is, some of you may already be registered here so that you can at least see, get notifications when new adverts come up for different contracts. If you're not already registered, you can see at the top there, that's the button there for registering. And if I just go there, actually, it's a really easy process. So you would register as a supplier. And when you click on that button, it just asks for some very basic information. What I would say to you, depending on the size of your organisation, when you do go through the registration process, and it asks you for an email, what I would say to you is, if you're like me, just the only person, then that's totally fine. I've got my name there. But if you are a bigger organisation, there's more of you, then you might want to use one of your generic emails, or set a brand new one up called tenders at, or inquiries at, or info at, or something like that. And the reason I say that is, if you get invited to a quick quote, then it comes to the email that's registered. Now, just say you are supplier ABC and you've got 3 or 4 different people registered on PCS, then when the buyer goes, it searches for your organisation, but then it might find there's 4 different people. They could choose the very first one on the list. That person might have left your organisation or might be on holiday, and you just might not see the inquiry. So that's why I suggest that you either, if you're on your own, that's fine, or 1 or 2. Any bigger, then I think you try and use your more generic email address. But there's nothing difficult that's required in this registration process. Once you've filled in the bottle, all of the spaces there, click on newsletter, click on confirmation and submit, and you'll immediately get an email from them asking you to click on the link to confirm your registration. So you don't need that for this particular tender, but you know, you never know what else is out there that you're not aware of at the moment, that might come along, that might really be of interest to your business. So by registering and then setting yourself up for alerts, then you'll be able to see everything that's coming through. So going back to this particular one, as you can see, we've got 982 pages of notices. So the last thing you really want to be doing is scrolling through all of these. And every time I go to this, through when I look on PCS, I'm always amazed at sort of things that come up. You know, what is dry docking facilities? Anyway, so what we're looking for here, let's just see if we go and just put we put sport. So the search functionality on PCS is actually really, really good. So you don't have to have asterisks or anything like that for the search. So basically what this will do is it will bring back any advert that's got, and it doesn't even have to be in the title, where the buyer name has got Edinburgh in it and somewhere in it there's the word sport. The other way of narrowing things down in your search is to choose a notice type. So in this case, it's not a future opportunity, it's an actual opportunity now. So I would click on current opportunity, and I'm not going to bother with anything else. I'm just going to use those as my filters just now and see what comes up. So if I search on the notices, that's better. There's 4 items to look through, and actually all top 3 are City of Edinburgh Council, then the last one is University of Edinburgh. But up here you can see it's actually the very first one on the list, so it's the flexible framework that Anna and Marion were talking about for sports and physical activities. So if I just click on the link there, now sometimes there's an express interest button here, but because Edinburgh Council are using PCST, then that doesn't occur in this case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through to PCST so I can show you how to get into the actual tender. But before I do that, just to show you the different tabs in PCS. So the first one is just the front page basically, and it's a sort of thing that you would have a look at and say, is this something that is of interest to me and I might be keen to apply for. So once you've read that description, you might think, oh, actually, yeah, this could be for me. Let's have a further look. So you'll see here as well, just before we go on, the deadline is the 3rd of March. So the good news is you've got plenty of time to apply. What I would say, I'm really glad you're here today, and the sooner that you start on it, the better, because it gives you time to think. You know, so if you look at it and you have a read through of everything, download what you need to download, and we'll go through that in a minute. And just allow it to sort of stew away a little bit in your mind as to what's required, and get started on it as soon as you can. You know, if you submit early, you can always resubmit if something else occurs to you. But definitely don't think, oh, it's the 3rd of March, right? And then in the last week of February, you start looking at it, because it's just full-on panic mode at that stage. So if we look at the notice text, this is just much more detailed, and there's lots of different sections in here. So you can see Anna's name there and her contact details. This just gives you a bit more information here. It tells you, for example, that the expected value overall of the framework, and that is for the whole duration of the framework, is £2 million. And you can see here it's split into 2 lots. One is for day sports and physical activities, and the other one is down here, is lot 2 for the residential sports and physical activities. Now, just to explain the concept of lots, what that means is that it splits a requirement up, allowing suppliers who only want to supply a particular part of it to do so. So just say you only do day activities, then that's fine. That's totally fine. You just apply for lot 1. If you only do residential, you only apply for lot 2. But if you do provide both, then you can apply for both lots. So it's very flexible in that way. So you can see here it's a 96-month framework, which is a very long time. Can't even work out, that must be 8 years. Yeah. So it's a long framework, which is good news for you when you get into it, because it means that there will be call-offs from the framework over the duration of those 8 years. Then in here we have got minimum criteria. Now actually, apart from the insurance, the actual details of the minimum criteria aren't detailed in this advert. We'll have to find them in and that says STP, but it's actually meant to be SPD, the single procurement document, and we'll look at that in a second. So you can see here, it's what we call an open procedure. All that means is it's all done in one stage. So in this particular procurement, you'll be asked for your basic information about your organisation, and then you'll be asked about technical things, so about your services that you provide, and you'll be asked for pricing. Okay, and you can see here, this is usually quite interesting to have a look at, is 30% is price and 70% is given to quality. Now, obviously that results in your total score and how it's going to be evaluated. So that's really all there is to that. And there's not much else actually in this contract notice. There's not much in further info. Contact info's just got Anna's there. And then there was a prior information notice about this published last year, as Marion sort of inferred there from the previous session that you had. So that's just a wee tour around what this is like in PCS. I'm just going to log in now. And go to my suppliers area, because I'm going to go through this like you would if you're a supplier. So in PCS, there's all these different tabs that you can go into, and what you can do is set up a link into PCST from here. And the beauty of it is, if it works, is that you don't have to remember your password for both. It takes you to both. What I need to do is go back here for a second and back to the notice, because I've noted it down here, but I want to show you what you need to look out for. So if I just do this again, do that. What I want to show you here is, because they're using PCST, then what you need to know is this project code 22945, and also that it's an ITT, an invitation to tender, and you'll see why you need to know that when we go into PCST. So just right down at the bottom, you can access PCST. If you don't have that set up, we can send you instructions on how to do that. Fran's got step-by-step instructions. And the other thing is, you may already be registered with PCST anyway, and you can go straight in here and find it. So if you go into ITTs, again, what you'll see is a list of many ITTs. And unfortunately, if this facilitating body was, like, say, City of Edinburgh Council, then you could probably search for that, but I don't know why there isn't a column in PCST that has the buying organisation. Seems to be weird that it doesn't have that. So what you have to do is use the project code. Now you'll see there's different things here. There's project code, project title you can use. Sometimes the code is troublesome, so I'm going to use it. So you click on it. It then asks you, do you want it to equal, begin with, whatever. So I'm just going to put contains, because I always think that's just a little bit safer. And I've written the number down here, 22. Oh, why is that? Contains 22. Oh, hang on a minute. Why is that not working? 22945. And then this blue box over here, search. And there it is, as if by magic. And there is the 3rd of March, deadline at 12 o'clock. So if I click on the blue writing, it's the hyperlink that takes me through to this. And I'm just going to move, I've got this thing here, it's a bit in the way just now. So you can see here, this is what we were expecting, 70% technical, 30% commercial, closes on the 3rd. Also a date worth noting in your diary is that the last day for questions is the 17th of February. Another reason why it's good to look at it early rather than leaving it too late. So what you can do here is you can now express interest. You can print it out as well if you want. I think it creates a PDF. It's not something that I would normally do. So I'm just going to express interest. And by expressing interest, I can now see, difficult maybe to see this clearly because it's very wishy-washy colours in here, but you can see there's 2 tabs up there, one ITT details and one messages. We're on the ITT details bit, so within here there's the settings, which is basically like your front page, and then there is the buyer attachments, and this is where Anna and Marion will have uploaded lots of things here. So you can see up here you can do a mass download. So if you click on the mass download, and then what that does is it means that you will get access to all of these documents. What I normally do is I'll have a folder called say City of Edinburgh Council 3rd of March, so that every time I go into the folder, I know what the deadline is. And then within there, I've got another folder called Tender Docs. And I would just put all of those tender documents in there. The reason being, it just saves you having to log into PCST all the time every time you want to look at specification or something like that. So you've got them all on your desk, on your desktop, sorry. So as you can see here, various different documents to read and then complete. So we would need to have a look at that just now. We go into then my response. This is actually the key bit that you will need to do. So just say I've got to say, see down here where it's got boxes, it's got some key information that I've already had populated for. The good news is with PCST, it keeps your previous answers. But I can't go in here and type anything. It's just not letting me. There's no way to do that. The reason is what I have to do is click intend to respond. So if I do intend to respond, it then opens it up a bit more. It's giving me a little warning here to say it's not yet submitted. We say, thank you very much, PCST. That's because I haven't completed it yet. But it does pop up all the time. So in here you can see these different, what used to be called envelopes. They're just, different sections really of the tender. So you've got the qualification response, the technical response, and the commercial. So remember the technical is 30%, 70%, commercial is 30%. Excuse me, sorry, sneeze there. So you go into each of these sections individually. I'd always start with the qualification response, mainly because it's usually the easiest bit. And it's good to ease yourself in getting all the easy ones out of the way. Helpfully, what you can see here, it does keep a tally on how many mandatory questions you've got missing. And if you have completed all the mandatories, it will also then tell you how many optional questions that you've missed. Okay, so this is the actual response. And again, still can't type in here. And that's because if you see here, this little pencil, is becoming more and more common icon now for amending or editing things. But that's basically what you used to have to do. It used to be, it said edit, modify or something like that, but now you've just got this little icon. So once I click on that, then I get a slightly different look and view of it, and I can now go in and add, so you've got a little calendar here, so I can choose the date. And as you can see, a lot of these are already populated. Now, just so you didn't have a VAT number, if you weren't VAT registered, then you just put in there not applicable. So I prefer to put not applicable, if I can, in these fields that don't apply, just so that I like to see that there's no questions that haven't been answered. I just feel more happy that I've answered everything that needs to be answered. So yes, you'll go down here and answer these questions. What size of business are you? Are you a supported employment business? Now this one here is only applicable if you're not a UK business. Are you applying with anyone else? So if you were collaborating, then what happens is it brings you up conditional questions that you then have to complete. Change it back to no, it takes those conditional questions away. Here it asks, are you applying for one or both of the lots? And you simply click on it and it will tick the box. Then you've got the list of schools where, so it's actually older kids, because it's not the primaries in this case, it's the high schools. If that's not what you were expecting, if you thought it was wider than that, then please do ask a question via PCST and we'll come on to show you how to do that. Then you can put the name of the representative in here. and it then goes on down here to what I call the mass murderer questions. But you've got all the sort of criminal convictions in here. Now, if you happen to choose the wrong answer, then usually it comes up with this conditional, you know, what were the dates of the conviction and so on. So the good thing is it helps you know what the answer is that they're actually looking for. But clearly you have to answer it honestly anyway. Once you get to the very bottom here, you'll get into more specific things here. So they are looking for turnover. So they're looking for, there's another document called Document 4 Financial Capacity Questionnaire, which you have to then complete. So you just go through all of these questions. Okay, and eventually, that's what I say, these are fairly easy ones. There are still quite a lot of questions. See, these are yes, no's, not applicable type, so that's good. Okay, so let's just go down to the bottom there. It's asking you just for who has completed it in terms of the completing statements. Oh, somebody just keyed something in there, but I didn't see it in time. It sort of just comes up on my screen and disappears.
You want me to read it out just now, or do you
Yes,
want to wait till
please.
the end, do you? Okay.
No, yeah.
Go for it now. There's actually
Yeah.
2 questions in. Is there a separate one of these for primary schools? Sorry for the question, we'll come back to that one. The next one from Nina was, it looks like there were 2 drop-down menus, one for secondary school and one for primary and early years. Oh, sorry, so they're actually similar questions, sorry.
Right, now I didn't see that drop down for, go back up to the school names. Just go up to here to see. Here we go.
Maybe Nina or...
It says here, early primary and special, please select all education schools you're wanting to work with, and there's just a search function. Oh, there is a drop down box there. Ah, right, so you could just do that. Yes, so it's putting a tick beside them there.
So hopefully that's answered both questions then from Outdoor and Nina.
Yeah. So so what I've done there is I've just ticked individual ones, but if I go in there, then I could select all of them.
Outdoors is great, thanks. It's answered.
Yeah.
Kirsty asked another quick question. Sorry, where we've got you. Can you add different prices depending on services offered? So when you get to that part, sorry, thank you.
We'll look at that pricing when we get there. Okay, one thing just to mention is, I'm not going to do it just now anyway, but remember to always save constantly. It is a bit of a pain because sometimes it doesn't hold where you are on the page, it doesn't anchor you. So once you save, it takes you straight to the top. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it keeps you where you are, but just save constantly. Especially if there's a little bit of a written bit, because I don't know what you're like, but for me, I'll be thinking about it and writing. And then what happens is, it's not until you actually go to the next box, sometimes or even later than that, until you've been timed out, and then when you're timed out, you can't save. And that question that just came up there would need to be asked to Edinburgh Council. Right, so there's quite a few questions about pricing, which we'll wait just now. So if I save and exit there, then what we'll do is we'll then go on to the technical response. So let me see how many they've got. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 questions here. So what they're saying is if you're applying for both lots, then respond to these questions covering both lots. So if I was you, if there's no difference, then you could at the very beginning say this response covers both lots, or if there is a difference, then you could have section 1, which is lot 1, section 2, which is lot 2. You can see here they've told you how many sides of A4. So actually, the good thing is here, I think it's good, is that they're only asking for 1-page answers, or half a page in one case. So they're not asking for War and Peace here. Okay. And by the looks of it, it looks like the sort of thing that you would probably have to hand. If there's anything in there that you don't understand, if you're not sure of the meaning, or you're assuming one thing but it could be something else, then please do ask the question. It's of benefit to both Edinburgh Council and you to make sure that you're very clear on what you've got to answer. Then the last section is the commercial response. So in here there is a schedule, which is 7A or 7B for pricing, and then you upload that. So you attach that there. Okay, and then if there's additional services, then you can attach that separately. And then lastly, there's a place for the form of tender, which is there as document 9 as well. So document 7 is where the pricing is. And then you basically would just put your total price in there. So whatever comes out on your pricing schedule would go in there. And I would probably just put in there, please see attached pricing schedule or something like that. Okay, so I'll save and exit there. Now I won't be allowed to submit this if I tried, because there are mandatory questions missing, but just so as you know, that's the box up there, the submit response. So the other thing to show you is the other tabs. So as I said, you've got ITT details, and then you've got messages. And within messages, you can look to see what's been sent to you, and so far there's nothing. If you've got a question, then you go in here and you choose what type it is. So just say it's about the qualification side things, and you might want to put turnover. You know, what I've read your document, but don't follow what is required. Can you clarify? You know, something, whatever you think. Now, just to let you know that on PCST, the buyer does know who is sending the message. PCS, they don't. Not that it matters, but just it's useful to know that sometimes. The good thing is, just say there was something on the screen, or that you particularly wanted to show them, then you can upload an attachment. You can do a screen print or whatever, so you can send that. Then if you want to, you can save it as a draft. So just say you've decided you don't want to send it right now, there's more information you want to put in your question, you can save it as a draft. You can cancel it, or you send your message, and obviously I'm not going to send it just now. I'm going to try and cancel that. You can look in here to see any messages you've sent, and if you have saved it as draft, then this is where you find them in here. Okay, so when you do get a received message, you can usually forward that to different people, so that's quite handy. Or you can download the questions and then send them to different people that you need to send them to. So I think that is the main things I need to show you on PCST. I'm assuming that it's straightforward enough to see how to attach a file. So you literally just click on that, and then it browses your machine. You then choose the folder and choose the file. One little tip, which seems pretty obvious, but not everybody does this. One company that I'm aware of, who applied for a Big Scotland Excel contract uploaded the empty pricing schedule, and that was then out of the supplying local authorities for 4 years. So the way to avoid that is have your working folder when you're working on things, but then once you've got something that's final and you are happy with it, I put it in a folder called Final for Upload, and then I just know that that's where so when I'm attaching my file, I know to always go to that folder, and I am confident that that is the ones that have been completed, that don't have comments left, don't have track changes left, you know, have been fully completed. So that's just a little practical thing that might help you with your bid. So I think that's really the key things to show you. Happy to take questions. And if they're for Edinburgh, then you now know how to ask a question. You go into the messages and you create your message. And don't worry about what type of classification it is. That's just to give them a rough idea if they've got lots of questions coming in. But don't fret over which category it is. Just choose something and then put the subject in there.
Perfect.